So we're back, and today I'm going to do a Silverstone review. I already done this for once for the Hungarian Grand Prix, so I did enjoy doing that, and I wanted to do it again. So I think I'm going to be doing this more every race weekend. So I do hope you guys enjoy, and yeah, let's just really get into it. I'm just really going to be telling my thoughts and feelings basically on the race, and if you guys like and subscribe, it would really mean a lot. And if there's any improvements or just to tell me that I'm shit, put in the comments below. It does mean a lot, and yeah, not the shit stuff, of course, the positive. But anyway, let's get into it. So in this part of the review, we're basically going to do a race review summary, my thoughts and opinions throughout the race. So in the first 15 laps, there was 2 safety cars, and that got interesting. I was like, oh, okay, spicing it up a little bit, you know, adding some spice into that, you know, cooking pan of a race. And that is the shittest metaphor I think I've ever used. But basically, it was okay. It mixed it up a little bit. I was like, oh, interesting. I like this kind of stuff here. I mean, the front three didn't really change, but I mean, I was like, the midfield's battling. So basically, I was like, oh, this race is like a fit girl. You know what I mean? I'm getting in. I'm interested. But until I got to around lap 40, I realised that it was actually a 40-year-old man that this race came in, because it was absolutely fucking boring. I mean, after the 2 safety cars, there was just no changes really, other than maybe some midfield battles, which kind of kept me interested. The front 3 never changed. Max Verstappen never had a hope in like life to get to Mercedes at lap 40, remember? And Bottas couldn't do anything. It was just really boring at the front, and Leclerc was in his own race, same as Verstappen, as I said. But yeah, so at the lap 40, it was really fucking boring, and I was like, oh god, what are we gonna fucking do here? I mean, I'm nearly falling asleep. That's how boring it was. And then I was like, okay, we move on. So as I'm nearly falling asleep, eyes half shut, on my screen, Bottas puncher comes up. I sit up. I'm like, oh, interesting. This is interesting here. He falls down to the back of the grid to God knows where, and I'm like, oh, okay, Max Verstappen second, third. This is gonna throw some stuff at us. And then I'm like, there is no way that Hamilton will get a puncher. No, not this race. This is way gone now. Bang, Carlos Sainz get a puncher. I'm like, okay. I mean, everyone's tyres are going. I have no idea how Pirelli can't design a tyre to save their lives. They always have this problem with punches. But I'm like, okay, interesting. Carlos Sainz, I felt a bit deep, because I mean, he had a good race, and sadly, did he score outside? Yeah, he went outside the points, so that's a bit unlucky for Carlos Sainz. But then I'm like, oh, okay, well, what can this throw at me? And bang, Hamilton. I'm like, yes, finally. Yes, we got this. This is like, I'm not being catfished by a 40-year-old man now. This is like a decent race now. So I'm like, oh, okay. But then I got like a slap in the face. It's like, oh, well, he's finished the race now, guys. Sorry. Oh, did we worry you? Oh, that's funny. No, he had a 10-second gap. So yeah, even I don't know. People say that Max Verstappen pitting probably wasn't a good idea, but you have the option of hindsight in this kind of thing. At the moment of time, I think Max Verstappen pitting was the best idea. You didn't know Hamilton was going to get a puncher. There was no way you would have known that. So I mean, you had a chance, but you know what I mean. There was no way that you could see that in like the future, and it was the last lap as well. So I think just to get the second place, to get the fastest lap was probably the best idea in my opinion for Red Bull, without hindsight. So what they did was not a mistake, and I think was the right idea. So at the end, I'd probably give this race probably about a 6 out of 10. I mean, it's not very interesting, but some things did happen, so I can't slate it too much. I don't know what I'm really expecting. It's Silverstone as well, so it's not like the most eventful track. But yeah, I enjoyed it, I did, and the ending did kind of really save this race for me. So I'd give it about a 6 out of 10. So now we get on to one of my favourite parts of doing these kind of videos, and that's my best to worsts. My winners to my losers. My fucking shits to my fucking bests. And I didn't have to put that last bit in, but you get what I mean. And basically, who did well and who didn't. And I think you got that from my 4 other examples. But yeah, so basically, who I think did the best this weekend was Renault. And I know what you're thinking. Fair enough. That's because I can't think of a better team. I mean, they finished 4th and 6th, which is very valuable points in that midfield battle. And I mean, they did get lucky with the punches and everything like that, but they did do really well, I think. And especially to get 4th and 6th was just amazing. And so I think they did best this weekend, team-wise. So now driver-wise, best I would say is Ricciardo and Alex Albon. Now Ricciardo, I kind of explained that with Renault, he did so well in 4th. I think you can kind of justify, I don't really need to explain it. But Alex Albon, I know what you're thinking. He crashed. He best driver. No way. Well, actually, personally, I do think he has a shot. I mean, the racing incident, which I would think is a racing incident, but the penalty he got, I don't think was his fault. I think that's just a driver trying to make a move, and the door closed on him. It was a risky one, I admit. There's no need for it. He could have just waited for the DRS or whatever. But I do think it was just a racing incident, and there was no need for a 5-second penalty. But to be put last, basically, for half the race, and then come back into 8th, I think that's amazing, and I think he's done a great job. So I really don't think, like, there should be credit withdrawn from him for this, because it was really unlucky. And I think he's just got to learn when to make his moments. He's still technically in his 2nd year, isn't it? And he's just a massive jump up really quickly, and so you've got to give him some time. But I really think it wasn't his fault, and I really think that he does deserve to get one of the drivers of the day. So there you go. That's my drivers of the day. So now let's get on to the shitters, and who do I think has done the worst team-wise? Oh, now this is going to be a hard one, but I do think, I don't know, I do think that Racing Point would probably get the both worst team and driver. I think, I don't know, they had a lot of potential going into this race, like 3rd fastest, and to get one car not even started, which is absolutely embarrassing, especially because I wanted to see Hulkenberg race, so wasting my time. But to get one basically person not starting and then a Stroll to finish 9th, was it 9th? Yeah, I think it was 9th. Yeah, it was 9th. It's just, it's not good. It's not good enough for a team that's aiming high, really. So I think they will get my shitters, to be fair, of the race weekend. But I mean, there's like, it's just one race, and I feel like when they get back into it and everything next week, they'll do much better. But this weekend they get my shitters of the day. So well done to them. So now, what does this mean for the championships, which is going on to one of my last segments here. And for the championship, I think this kind of ruined this championship, because now I don't think it's possible for Bottas to compete. There's a 30-point gap between him and Hamilton. Hamilton's on 88, Bottas is on 58. Good maths there from me, I know. And I just don't think that he can really compete, especially if Hamilton has like a good season in terms of DNFs, where he doesn't get barely any, if he even won. So I mean, I just don't think he can compete if Hamilton is good without any failures or anything like that. If Hamilton does get unlucky with failures, then yes, he can, of course. But I just don't think he will be able to, you know, close that margin up again. And especially now, because Hamilton's back here in Silverstone, which is one of his favourite tracks. I just don't see it happening for Bottas, personally. But in terms of who's winning it, it has ruined it, but it has got Max Verstappen very close to Valtteri Bottas, as he's on 52 points. So using my math skills here again, he's 6 points away, and I really think, you know, Max Verstappen's always going to get these kind of good results, and especially if Bottas has one of those shitters, I really think it's going to be a close one for second. But yeah, this race has kind of worried me a little bit in terms of just kind of the podiums and how races are going to be determined from here on out. I mean, you got Hamilton, Bottas and Max Verstappen. I think that's just going to be the podium from here on out. Just them three always interchanging and mixing, but I just don't see them really losing to anyone else. I mean, other than if there's DNFs, of course, but that's just going to be the podium from now on, and I just really don't want to watch that. I don't find that enjoyable. I don't find it enjoyable that Mercedes can basically take the piss and win. So I'm just kind of like, it's just a bit shit. So the only thing I'm really like looking forward to now is the midfield battles, which is just really dead. And the problem is that next season I have to wait for the exact same thing. I have to watch this exact same thing play out, because there's not going to be a lot of changes, because they put a limit, of course, on it, and there's just not going to be a lot of, you know, things happening until 2022. So I have to wait as an F1 fan for 2022. So that's a year away, and I just really cannot be arsed. But hopefully, you know, things happen and like there's wet races and whatever. But for right now, I'm just going to be enjoying the midfield battle, and I really don't think there's any point in getting interested in the top three really anymore, because Mercedes can basically take the piss and win. So I mean, there's not even a point in trying. But anyway, this was my opinion on the races, and I hope you guys do enjoy. I just wanted to, you know, let it out basically what I thought. It was okay, not a bad race, but I did enjoy watching it, especially the end. It did get excited towards the end, and I really hope that next week in Silverstone it can get better, especially when they use the softer compound of tyres. You know, that's going to be 2 stops mandatory basically, so it'll be interesting. But yeah, hope you guys do enjoy, and tell me what you think in the comments below, and like and subscribe as well. But anyway, see ya.